The sun hung low over the cracked asphalt of Highway 62, painting the desert in shades of burnt orange and bruised purple. Dust devils spun lazily across the empty stretch between Rahim Yar Khan and the next nowhere town. Elias drove his old Toyota pickup with the windows down, letting the hot wind whip through the cab. He was 38, widowed for 4 years, and had learned to fill silence with the low rumble of the engine rather than memories. He spotted her first as a dark shape slumped against a rusted mile marker. At 50 meters, he slowed. At 20, he saw the way her shoulders shook. Not from cold, because the air was still oven hot even at dusk, but from something deeper. She wore a faded blue shalwar kameez torn at the hem, dupatta long gone, hair matted with sweat and sand. A cheap plastic shopping bag lay beside her like an afterthought, one handle ripped. Elias pulled onto the shoulder, tires crunching gravel. He killed the engine and stepped out, boots sinking slightly into the soft earth. She didn't look up. "You all right?" he called, voice rough from disuse. No answer, just the shuddering breath. He approached slowly, palms open. "Ma'am, it's 110 out here. You can't sit in this heat." Her head lifted then, just enough for him to see her face. Mid-30s maybe? Eyes swollen from crying, lips cracked and bleeding. A fresh bruise bloomed purple along her left cheekbone. She stared at him like he was another mirage. Elias reached into the cooler he kept behind the seat, pulled out a sealed bottle of water, cold enough that condensation still clung to the plastic. He crouched a respectful distance away and held it out. "Take it, please." She looked at the bottle, then at him. Something flickered in her expression. Suspicion, exhaustion, maybe the tiniest spark of surprise that someone had stopped it all. Her hand trembled when she reached for it. Fingers brushed his. She unscrewed the cap with shaking effort, drank in desperate gulps, water spilling down her chin and onto the dusty fabric of her kameez. When half the bottle was gone, she lowered it, breathing hard. "Thank you," she whispered. The words sounded foreign in her own mouth. Elias nodded. "No phone signal out here. Nearest petrol station's about 12 kilometers. I can drop you there if you want. Or the police post, whatever you need." She laughed, a short, broken sound. "Police?" She shook her head. "They won't help. Not him." "Him?" "My husband." The word came out like a curse. "Ex-husband now, I suppose. He threw me out of the car 30 minutes ago. Said he was done. Said I was useless." Her voice cracked on the last word. "I walked until I couldn't anymore." Elias felt the old ache stir in his chest, the same one that woke him at 3 a.m. some nights, reaching for a wife who wasn't there anymore. He pushed it down. "You don't have to explain," he said quietly, "but you can't stay here after dark. Coyotes, trucks, heat drops fast once the sun's gone." She studied him for a long moment. "Why did you stop?" "Someone stopped for me once," he said simply, "when my wife died. I was sitting on the side of this same road, truck in the ditch, bottle in my hand that wasn't water. Man pulled over, gave me coffee, drove me home, never even asked my name." She swallowed. "And now you pay it forward?" "Something like that." Silence stretched between them. A truck roared past, wind blasting sand against their legs. She flinched. "My name is Sara," she said finally. "Elias." She looked down at the half-empty bottle in her hands. "I don't know where to go, Elias. My family, they told me if I left him they'd never speak to me again. Said a woman who can't keep her husband has no place among them." He exhaled slowly. "You got people in the city? Friends?" "None who'd take in a divorced woman with nothing." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Look, I've got a spare room at my place. Nothing fancy, just a bed, clean sheets, a lock on the door that works. Breakfast tomorrow if you want it. No strings. You can leave whenever you're ready." Her eyes searched his face for lies, found none. "Why?" she asked again, softer this time. Because no one should sit alone on the side of a road thinking the world's done with them. Sara stared at the horizon where the last sliver of sun bled into the sand. Then, almost too quiet to hear, she said, I thought I was going to die out here. Elias waited. I thought maybe that was better. Her voice trembled. He told me I was nothing without him, that I'd crawl back, that no one else would ever want me. And part of me believed it. Part of me still does. She lifted her gaze to meet his. Tears carved clean tracks through the dust on her cheeks. But when you handed me that water, I realized something. Elias stayed very still. I'm still here, she whispered. I'm still breathing, and someone who doesn't even know me thought I was worth stopping for. The words hung in the cooling air like a confession. He cleared his throat. You're worth more than a bottle of water, Sara. A lot more. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. I don't know how to be anything else anymore. I forgot who I was before him. Then you start remembering, one day at a time, 1 kilometer at a time. She looked at the pickup, then back at him. If I come with you, I'm not promising anything. I'm not ready for kindness yet. I might break again tomorrow. I know, he replied. I've broken plenty of tomorrows myself. Sara stood slowly, legs unsteady. She clutched the bottle like a lifeline. Elias opened the passenger door for her. She hesitated only a second before climbing in. He got behind the wheel, started the engine. The headlights cut twin tunnels through the gathering dark. They drove in silence for the first few kilometers. Then, in a voice barely above the hum of tires on road, she spoke again. I used to paint, she said, before marriage. Landscapes, people, colors no one else saw the way I did. Elias glanced over. You still can. She gave a small, sad smile. I haven't touched a brush in 8 years. Tomorrow's a new day. She looked out the window at the stars beginning to prick the sky. Maybe. They reached his small house on the edge of town just as full night settled. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, kitchen barely big enough for 2. He showed her the spare room, single bed, faded quilt, a window that looked out nothing but scrub and stars. There's a bolt on the inside, he pointed. Use it. She nodded. He left her there, went to the kitchen, made tea. When he came back with 2 cups, she was sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at her hands. I don't know how to thank you, she said. You don't have to. She took the tea. Their fingers brushed again. This time, neither pulled away quite so quickly. I meant what I said earlier, she murmured, about thinking I was going to die out there. He sat on the wooden chair across from her. I heard you. But when you stopped, when you offered that water without asking for anything, I realized I didn't want to die. Her voice cracked. I want to live, even if it hurts, even if I'm scared. I want to remember who I was. Tears slipped down her face again, but these were different, cleaner, quieter. Elias felt something loosen in his own chest, a knot he'd carried so long he'd forgotten its shape. Then live, he said simply. Start tonight. She looked at him, really looked, saw the lines around his eyes from too many solitary sunsets, the quiet strength in the way he held himself, the way he didn't flinch from her pain. You're broken too, she said, not a question. Yeah, he admitted, but broken things can still hold water. A small laugh escaped her, surprised, genuine. They sat like that until the tea cooled. No grand declarations, no promises, just 2 people in a small room, sharing silence and the faint hope that tomorrow might be kinder. In the morning, Sara awoke to the smell of paratha frying. She found Elias at the stove, sleeves rolled up, flipping bread with practiced ease. He glanced over. Sleep okay? Better than I have in months. He nodded towards the table. Eat, then we'll figure out the rest. She sat, took a bite, closed her eyes at the warmth, the butter, the simple act of being fed without judgment. After breakfast, she wandered to the back porch. There was an old wooden easel leaning against the wall, covered in dust. A cracked box of paints sat beside it, leftovers from his wife's brief flirtation with art before cancer took her. Sara touched the brushes. Her fingers left trails in the dust. Elias stepped behind her. They've been waiting for someone who knows what to do with them. Sara turned. "I'm scared," he said. So was she, every time she started something new. Sara looked at the blank canvas, still wrapped in brown paper, then at him. I think I want to try." He smiled, the first real one she'd seen. Small, tired, hopeful. Then try. Weeks became months. Sara painted, first hesitating.